Every man has his heroes, and every life is made up of stories. Heroic Stories is a series from heroicmen.org to find out why some men choose the harder path in life, even when it means losing everything, how they survived, and who they are today. These men seem heroic to us, even if they don't call themselves that. They seem to have an extra strength in their system, extra grit to battle doubt and find purpose. All of these men are seeking divine friendship with God, and they all believe in building up faith, building up men, and building up our future. Sponsored by CatholicSpeakers.com and hosted by Dominic from Heroic Men, get the mindsets, the scars, and the playbooks that these men have earned the hard way. Heroism isn't born, it's made, and these are their stories.
I've had my own business pretty much since I got out of college, and I have a construction company. And,
Okay.
I started right from the absolute ground floor, like literally digging the footings and lining up payroll and estimates and all that kind of stuff. And so anyhow, I've gone through this sort of business journey as I was getting married and being a dad and stuff. And I always had this book in the back of my mind. And then like real mature stuff started happening as the kids got older and illness came up. And so I would start scratching notes on my yellow pad. I'm like, oh, I'm going to write this book one day. I'm going to write this book one day, And some of it began like, oh, I'm going to show how carpenters, how to become a contractor. And it was all sort of business stuff. And anyhow, as a family matured and stuff, you just real problems come up, and whether it's marriage or illness or just all kinds of stuff comes up. And so the notes kept stacking up, and my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer earlier in the year. And, he's just a very significant guy in my life. He's in the middle of chemotherapy and stuff, and it seems like it's working, but I'm like, man, I got to finish this book.
Yeah.
I have to read this to him before something bad happens.
Oh, there's a motivation. So I got to ask before we keep going, what was going on? What was inspiring the book? Like at first you said that you were thinking of writing a book about business and being a carpenter, but now something else is growing, and you said your notepad is filling up with other ideas. What's going on in you that you want to write this? Yeah.
Actually, most significantly, I started Exodus 90 with three of my brothers in 2019. It was just a little over 6 years ago, and we have done it every single day since we began it 6 years ago.
Really?
We didn't stay inside the 90-day. We didn't stay inside the 90-day one. We just did the whole season. We just participated, right? But so Exodus 90, when my little brother, he graduated from Steubenville, when he came to tell us, I'm like, are you crazy? You can't give up 13 things all at one time. I was mad. I was like, is this a setup? What are you doing, man? And it took me about a week, because obviously something was speaking to me. I was so mad, there had to be something really important there. And so I said, hey, Paul, if you'll do it, I'll do it. If you're going to do it, I'll do it with you. And totally expecting mass failure. Anyhow, so you walk through Exodus and you begin to understand what is enslaving you, what's got you shackled to, this earth. What are the things that you really need to start working on? So that just opened up. From food to alcohol to sex to laziness, all of it started. You're getting confronted by all of it.
What was the hardest thing that you yourself found yourself confronting?
For sure, the most difficult was alcohol.
Yeah.
It was like just front and center. And I'm like, I can give up this stuff. I can do cold showers. I don't need sugar or snacks. And then I'm like, dang, this is interesting. This alcohol thing, this is interesting.
Can I ask if life felt hard to bear up under, and it was something that helped you get through it all, or was it a habit from years before? Or
yeah, actually, so it was one of these things that was, hey, sit on the back porch, have a beer and your wife has a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that kind of makes the stress of the day go away. And you drink a little more, you start drinking a little earlier, you try to find people to have lunch with who will have a beer or two with you, and that just kind of progresses. And then And then when difficulty really hits, you're like, well, I know how to take care of this and not feel it anymore.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'm gonna drink some more and I don't have to think about it anymore. So that was a big deal for me in Exodus. It took me after the first 90, I'm like, hey, I told my brothers, I'm like, listen, I know for sure I need 90 more days here. I'm
Really?
gonna
You decided that?
I have to
Amazing.
I I see it, the writing's on the wall. And for us to it was this generational thing that's undeniable. There's something about the men in our family as far back as we can go in our American history, that
Yeah.
alcohol takes a hold of them,
Okay.
and we knew that. We knew it from our childhood and our dad. We knew it from our uncles. So anyhow, that was one of the biggies. And so it took me about a year. Actually, it took me just barely over a year to have some people who cared about me confront me about it, say, hey, I think you need to talk to some other guys about this. Um, I thought you didn't. I thought you wanted to stop this in our family. Actually, yeah, this one confrontational call from actually one of my brothers who I did Exodus with said, "Hey, I thought you were going to stop this, and what I see is the devil has got this front page paper written, and he wants to print it, and it says, "Hey, I finally got Joe. I finally got Joe, and what he's going to do is he's going to hang your head on his wall." And so, you want him to print that paper? You want him to print it and then hang your head on his wall? I thought you were serious about this. So that was a huge wake up call for me. And it
Wow.
began this 3 or 4 month period where I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have been ready for that had I not gone through Exodus, had I not
Okay.
gone through the Old Testament and the behavior and the misbehavior, the forgiveness and the restart. I wouldn't have been ready for it unless we had really seen, that whole recycling of that condition with God's people,
Got it.
over and over again.
So Exodus 90 filled your imagination, filled your heart with a bunch of examples of other men who'd failed and fallen and got back up again, and that gave you something to chew on, sounds like.
It did. It did. And I think where you may not have thought it, but you were probably feeling hopeless about it and like, man, why can't I just stop this?
Mm.
Why can't I just make this better? And you're like, oh my gosh, like Noah had some problems and so did all the Israelites and so did David. I think we got into the Samuel and stuff right after Exodus 9. I think that was the next section years
Okay.
ago. Kings was the next section after Exodus 90.
Mhm.
And you're like, wow, Saul,
They're a
David,
mixed bag.
these guys
Yeah.
really, they screwed up a lot and they were leading God's people. So you're like, wow, maybe there's hope here. There's evidence.
Mhm.
One of the things I start saying now is, don't be faithful. Just go look at the evidence. If you want some proof, just go read that darn book. It's been proven. You don't have to like just take a leap of faith. There's
Right.
proof out there, you know, and so, yeah.
So what got you to so the book then was growing inside you, something you needed to now create.
Yeah, so I got into Alcoholics Anonymous, which was, I mean, we could talk for hours on that, but I got into AA, I stopped drinking, and then, your eyes become clear. You're like, wow, there's real problems. I have to go deal with them head on now. I can't just, um, I can't just numb these things away.
Mhm.
I have to go deal with them head on. Business is difficult. I got a kid in college who's not really doing what we want him to be doing. I got another girl ready to go to college. Yeah, these significant things begin happening, and
Mhm.
and I'm thinking about it clearly, and I'm not escaping. I did have to, after COVID hit, one of my oldest boys, he was playing college football in Arizona, and COVID wiped out their team, wiped out the school. It had a very bad effect, and I was
Ouch.
able. I mean, this was just a few months after I stopped drinking. I was able to go there, be kind to him, not judge him in the way I would have, not shove him around. I was there with him for a week, figuring out what was really happening. And we were able to come together and say, hey, look, it's time for you to come home, buddy.
Mhm.
And not me just go grab him by the back of the collar and drag him home with me. Because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
probably would have destroyed my relationship with my kid.
Okay.
So that happened. 6 months later, one of my 15-year-old boy got leukemia.
Oh, no.
And he's with us today. He has relapsed. He
Okay.
just relapsed a couple months ago, but you know, we went through this period of time where my wife and I we had to pretty much move down to LA and switch off as we drove back and forth to the hospital. You know, we took our shifts, and
Wow.
for a couple of very difficult years, we had this marriage where we were separate, we were apart for about 18 months. But the man I was becoming, the man I was in, I mean, I was the man I was becoming was growing there, and
Hmm.
he was being nicer and more patient and showing up instead of going away, instead of hiding. And it was when we got through that, and I'm back in my regular life now, I'm like, man, this cannot, what we just went through, these, because we had a number of these things line up for us,
Right. Trial by
what we
fire
went
there.
through, it cannot be for naught. There's something here. God didn't take us through this to just go back to our life.
Right.
He did not do that. And there's evidence he doesn't do that with people. If you've gone through these things, it is for a reason. And most of the time it ends up being one of the greatest gifts you've ever been given.
Hmm.
But it doesn't feel like that when you're in the middle of it. And so I wrote more and more and more about all these things that were happening in my life on that yellow pad and typing in my notes on my phone and stuff. And when my dad got that diagnosis, I'm like, okay, you can't wait anymore. You need to write this. You got to be able
This
to
is
read
more
it
than
to
just
him.
telling your story, right? You're seeing there's something going on under the surface, and you're making sense of it with the journaling. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that was major. And really, I mean, I had written notes, but actually in Alcoholics Anonymous,
Hmm.
they really taught us the therapeutic nature of writing.
Okay.
Get it out of your head, get it on paper, and go share it with somebody. Go talk
Okay.
to a physical brother about this.
Hmm.
They taught us that there, which a lot of what they do is mirroring what we learn in the sacraments. But in AA, it's barrier free. It's barrier free. You end up walking into a room that is like the kingdom of heaven on earth. They
Yeah.
just can't call it that there. They just can't call it that there because guys wouldn't enter the room if they did. If they said, "Hey, come on in. This is a Catholic program, by the way."
Right.
They'd say, "Well, screw that. My parents were Catholic. Everything was screwed up when I was little. I'm a
Right.
recovering Catholic. I'm not coming in there." So that writing was a tool that was really made real for me inside that program, and it ended up helping me really form up. Just Exodus 90, that first real tough year,
Hmm.
getting an AA, getting rid of drinking, and then the big family personal stuff, the big whopping important ones. They came sort of just in time. And if I hadn't heard that Exodus 90 message, I wouldn't be putting two and two together as the family's walking through this stuff. And as I'm being asked to be the dad,
Hmm.
you know, in charge of that unit that's going through those battles together. I wouldn't have had the eyes, the ears, or the heart to have seen what was going on and to really be present as a willing participant and not the star of the show. You know,
Right. Right.
yeah, because that's really when I found my place in it. The quiet guy behind the scenes. That was not me 6 years ago. I
Really.
was definitely needed to be the smartest
Out in
one in the room,
front. Okay.
the one that was
Yeah.
not the bottleneck, the one that had, that was me. And and that was just, that ends up being a pile up, on I-5
Yeah.
in your
Wow.
life.
Can I ask
So
about something you said earlier? You said your family had a history of drink and you'd struggle with this. And I think you said your dad had had a hard time with it. Who were, for you to now be trying to become the man that you now are, who did you look to or turn to? I guess the question there is who are your heroes that oriented and inspired you to start wanting to become a different kind of man? Like you say, not creating that pileup, being the guy who supports and serves.
so there was a series of weeks of reflections in Exodus during our first year that talked about generational sin. And they were marching us through. I can't remember what book it was, but it was in the first 6 months in 2019, 2020. And they were saying, hey, uh, you know, just look back and whatever you think he left you with, he was probably trying to do a little bit better than where he came from.
Mm.
And if you look at it, his dad was probably, with the tools he had, he was probably trying to do something a little bit better, you know? And so when we're reflecting on this, because I have three brothers, and what we ended up doing was three of us could meet in person, and one was in Colorado, so he'd be on the phone every
Okay.
Sunday at 6:15 in the morning. Because Sunday, I think it was Saturday back then. That was the only hour in the week that did not intrude on family time or work.
Okay.
It had to be on Saturday before everybody woke up. So
Right.
we were meeting, and we were like, as good as we think we've done from our childhood to now, and look at us now and look at the house or the car, or whatever. I think my dad, who was raised in the little town in northeastern Louisiana, I think my dad, knowing where he came from, as hard as it was when we were growing up, I think he made the largest leap forward,
Really?
to make a generation better for us, and because we just go, man, we probably impacted it marginally from where we grew up to where we are now. He like provided a whole different world for us growing up than he was provided when he was growing up. And so when we thought, because we were forced to confront in Exodus 90, what is it about you that you're going to improve
Hmm.
and try to hand to your kids? And for me, I was like, man, we have to do something about this alcoholism that
Okay.
is just like dominoes for the men in my family. We have to do it. We
Hmm.
have to do it. And I didn't know how, because I was still in the middle of that. I mean, I was aware of it. The worst of it was over for me, but I was still trying to figure out how the heck how do I stop this? And so that time in Exodus for us led to, I think, your dad, that because we had 9 kids in the house when we were little. My mom
Wow.
stayed home.
Hmm.
He worked for the school district as a janitor, and they made sure we all went to Catholic school from first through 12th grade. What they did was nothing short of heroic.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did was nothing short of heroic. What they overcame to provide what they did provide for us spiritually, emotionally, physically, making sure roof, shoes, clothes, it was just nothing short of heroic. And I know lots of people say, well, my dad, and but man, oh man, Exodus put it in the perspective of, you know, how big of a leap was it that he made compared to what you guys think you did, and so what kind of responsibility now do you have to your family, to your wife, to your children, to really take care of what you're going to offer as the generations move forward.
Hmm.
So yeah, and the drinking thing, it was one of my brothers was the one who had made that call to me that day. My oldest brother did. He had been sober for a couple of years, and he it was kind of that guy that he had the audacity to say, hey dude, you are screwing up, and
Wow.
that is not you.
Mhm.
You do not want to be, that is not you. You really have to face that. You got to look in the mirror and you have to deal with that. You have to deal with it, because I don't think I'm not sure we have those courageous people in our lives. A lot of maybe people are just not they don't feel like they can come out and say it, and so you're kind of you're left in your little lonesome world you built for yourself,
Hmm.
shameful of the things that you're doing that you haven't been able to overcome. And I think that people who were given that gift of being that gift of desperation, I mean, that's language they use in AA, but if you've been given that gift of being beaten up enough to go, okay, I've had enough, Lord, I'm done trying. It's all yours. It's all yours. And then you're finally open to it. You can finally hear him. And that was like, those were the heroic things that happened Otherwise I wasn't going to listen. I mean, my skull is thick enough and my eyes and ears were closed enough. I needed that. I needed somebody to really, really say
Mhm.
explicitly, are you going to allow this to happen? I thought you did not want this for your family. Yeah.
Amazing.
Then, when I got in,
Yeah.
it happened for me pretty fast. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they've been talking about. I don't have to be scared of my failures, because actually, as soon as you start talking to people about it, who were ready, they're like, oh man, I do that too.
Yeah.
How did you get through that? You know, but if you don't talk about it,
It takes creating that specific space or an environment where that's possible. Like you said something interesting about AA earlier. You said it's like Kingdom of Heaven or the closest to it. Could you say why? Why
yeah,
you described it that way?
yeah. So I'm like 44 years old when I walk in there for the first time, and on my way in, 'cause it's in this warehouse. They call it the factory meeting. And I'm walking. I go in the side door, and right when you open the door, you can hear this echoing and conversation and stuff. And as I get closer, that's like a bunch of guys laughing. And I'm like, it sounds like a party's going on. And you're like, I am not sure I'm in the right place. I'm not sure I'm in the right. But you get there, and sure enough, it's a whole bunch of dudes who are super happy, and they're laughing, they're talking, they're hugging each other. Whatever. It's very organized. It's got a very regular rhythm.
Hmm.
You hear a guy share his personal story for 10 minutes or so, and then everybody else in the room's got a chance to share what they got out of it for a few minutes. And so what I'm hearing is these like 23, 24-year-old guys who's got 3 or 4 years under their belt, and they're not Catholic. They didn't go to any theological school, but what they're saying is, you just need to be sorry. All we need is you to want to improve here. Just get in here. Try not to do it again. If you do, that's okay. Come on back here. We'd rather have you here than out there.
Hmm.
Come on back. Just open hand, open heart. But we have some real work for you to do. So if you want to be different, there's some real specific stuff you need to do here. And then you would hear him say, like a 23-year-old kid reaches out to me and says, hey, 24/7, here's my cell phone number. I will literally, you're in the top of my favorites now. It will ring even if everybody else is on silent. Anything you need. And he just met me that night.
Wow. How did that make you feel hearing that?
Loved,
Yeah. No kidding.
like unconditional. And that was 18 out of 18 guys in that room would do the same thing for you. Their whole
Wow.
life, you could see
Yeah.
their entire life
Hmm.
was to be there for that new guy that had just walked in.
Hmm.
Yeah, any time of day, any day of the week. And that's why, and as I hear these guys talking, I'm like, I just spent a year in this environment with Exodus 90 and the Bible and our sacraments, and this is what they were talking about.
Yeah. Can I
This is
ask? It
like,
sounds like when you say that, it sounds like Exodus 90 sort of prepped you, laid some groundwork, but it didn't close that loop or it didn't make it stick for you or something until you got to this meeting and then stuff sounds like stuff then made sense and then it started working. Why do you think? Or what is it that made it work for you?
so I think one, the diversity of the folks in that room, young, old, fat, skinny, brown, black, white,
Mhm.
rich, poor, straight in, out the street,
Yeah.
and the Holy Spirit is pouring out of their mouths.
Mhm.
Some of them know it. Some of them are really, some of them know exactly what's happening, that it is
Okay.
God, not just the way we understand it, but it's the good Lord.
Yes.
And I'm here for my brothers. It's not about me. In fact, when it is about me, that's the opposite of what we need to do here, guys. We have to erase me, and it's actually about you. I mean, how many stories? I mean, the whole point is that your life is not about you, and that's what we've been trying to be taught since we were in Catholic kindergarten. Here I am in this group of people you would never be able to assemble out in the world,
Mhm.
and they're all saying the same thing. And it's not because they have a degree in this. It's because they lived it. It's because you could tell they understood something deeply about human nature, masculinity, just showing up for others. And I really did. I'm like, I sat there going, I have never seen anything like this before. And this is what they've been trying to tell me in school and church for
Right.
45 years.
Right.
That it's not about you. You're there for others. And yes, there's work to do. But the nature of it, the whole thing was barrier free too. And that's what got everybody in this room together. So that, I was like, man, if they can do this, and I'm thinking to myself, and they don't have a clue about the catechism of our church,
Right.
or
Right.
not a clue, but what they do know is what love is. They know truly what the Holy Spirit has
Mhm.
asked them to do, and they're acting on it.
Yeah. That's
Not
amazing.
after their wallet's in order or not after all that. They're doing
Yeah.
it now because their
Mhm.
life depends upon service to others.
That right there, their
So
life depends upon it. That's when you know things are real. You threw a word out a minute ago. You said masculinity, how it's being modeled to you in a way maybe you never had seen before by the men in this group. As you're now working on being a better husband and also being a better man and all this, how has this group or these meetings or this formation, everything that's building up inside of you has started to change, it sounds like, change your view of just what it means to be a man? How is it different now versus before for you?
I guess the one most tangible thing is that you have to put yourself to the side. Turn the light off, the spotlight, turn it off. Don't expect it. In fact, that's in your way. That is in your way. Get rid of get rid of self, get rid of me. Totally set it to the side. Totally set it to the side. Be quiet, like that. There was just so many examples of the men talking about their egos. That was really what got them back in trouble. As soon as I thought I had it figured out, crap, it happened again. Once I said, "Oh, hey, I got this," like that's the worst. That's like one of the cardinal. Don't say that here. Don't say it. I got this. Don't worry. I got this. I got this. We'll be good now. Just don't say that. You don't have this. You don't have anything. God has it. And he is asking you to strip self away. And God is asking you to only be there for others. That is it. That's it. And in that room, there's this, your very life depends upon the degree of which you serve others.
Could you say that again?
Yeah. Uh, your very life depends upon the degree of which you serve others. And, there's this fine in that room. We struggle with alcohol,
Mhm.
but in the world, we struggle with every single other vice and every single, you know, just every single other thing we fill our life with instead
Right.
of gratitude, a life of others, and service. We struggle with money and food and girls and control, anger,
Mhm.
all of it, all of it. And it just so happens that this group of guys gets together who struggles with alcohol, and they really understand. Hey, as soon as I think I got control of my surroundings and it's about me again, I'll fall back into my old habits, and I won't just like start drinking again. I'm going to start drinking as if that habit was a gorilla in the parking lot doing push-ups, waiting for me to come back out again.
Mhm.
And then my ego and my issue, it didn't just like wait for me to come back. It grew and it got stronger, and it was waiting. Hey, come on, Joe. It won't be that bad. So you let your old habits creep in again. You let your ego take over again. And why do I say my life depends on it? An alcoholic, he starts drinking and driving again. He
Right.
starts coming home late again, and his wife is pissed again, and he starts mistreating his children again. He loses his job again. He loses his car. He can't pay rent anymore. Like those things are real and they're tangible,
Mhm.
and they are consequences of that particular vice.
Yeah.
You know, and if you go back week after week, and you start hearing thousands and thousands of stories week after week,
Mhm.
you go, wow, there's the evidence. I should probably not do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should probably not do that. So
It's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that there's a line that I've heard last couple of years where a Franciscan priest said something like the genius of the AA methodology system, whatever, is going to be America's greatest contribution to spirituality in the human family, something like that. And the more that I learn about it, the more convinced I am it's true. So, okay, it sounds like, well, last two questions then for you. It sounds like that this is providing through tackling this one particular shadow and struggle in your life. It's
Yeah.
acting like a window into all of the other things, or it's giving you a set of tools and how to handle where we are all addicted in other ways. And so you're
Exactly.
now equipped to better, well, solve those problems or, start healing those areas or putting light and attention and begging for grace or asking for help in other areas and so on. Would you say that's true? And if so, is there a something you can share with us that's been really impactful for you, something maybe that you default to throughout the day to keep you going?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one of the getting into AA and so they got these 12 steps, right? I was fortunate to have learned what I have learned about our church and about our traditions for as long as I have. And I immediately went, oh my gosh, this is exactly what my church has asked us to do. Realize you're not the star of the show. Let God take over. Go to confession. Step 4 and 5 is do an examen and go to confession. And then start working on your vices by practicing their corresponding virtues. This is AA. This is AA. This is what they teach you in there,
Right.
but not inside of the church. They use different language to talk about it. And then lead a life of daily prayer and meditation at the service to others. And the Ignatian spiritual exercises nearly mirror the 12 steps of AA. And there's books out there about it. There's books
Mhm.
out there about it. And so, and I had been, I had, when I was in my early 30s, I got really sick and I was off work for about a year. And I had to just go change some of my physical habits. I heard Matthew Kelly speak for the first time in 2007 at our parish.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had heard take care of your mind, heart, body, and soul. And I was in the midst of I had gotten ulcerative colitis and I was kind of useless at work and around the
Ooh,
house for about a year.
wow. Okay.
And so doctor said, hey, Joe, you can't be in construction. You can't own a business. And I'm like, well, so that's not going to work, doc. What's the next? Well,
Sure.
you have to change everything then. And that week, Matthew Kelly was doing this mission in our parish.
Oh,
And he
wow.
marched us through the rhythm of life
Mhm.
and true happiness and things like do a holy hour in the morning. I'm not sure he called it holy hour, but start with prayer and meditation, do spiritual reading, exercise, take care of your finances. And I was like 30 and I was hearing this. I'm like, okay. So I changed a lot of, I got a prayer life. I changed a lot of physical habits. And so, I had these mountains and valleys of, do I practice them? Yes. Okay. Then you're doing good. Are you not praying and not running? Yep. So now you're doing bad again. Are you, you go through that. And so now, man, I do Exodus 90, I go into AA, and now these habits, which are, these are what the desert fathers did. And that's really what Exodus 90 asks us to do. Okay.
Mhm.
It's called a holy hour. And you do that before you do anything else. No emails, no social media, holy hour, set that aside. Great. Now exercise. I do a rosary pretty much at lunchtime.
Okay.
So there's these habits that were formed during the day. I leave work 4:30, it's over, and I don't drag it home. I'm present for the kids at dinner time. We're really, I got bunch of adult kids in the house now. Get back to the dinner table, and then end the evening with an examen before bedtime.
Mhm.
These are nothing new, nothing fancy. They've been teaching them for thousands of years.
Mhm.
They're a real part of our faith. And I'm so glad to see a lot of these. There's a renaissance in that today, I believe, with the men in the Catholic faith. There's a real renaissance here. And I'm so happy to be part of it. And so those things, they keep me grounded. They help me to listen more. People around me they know now. And a lot of people talk to me about not just I mean, a lot talk to me about alcohol,
Mhm.
but not just alcohol. I got this hollow man of a son. Can you help him volunteer with you? I've latched onto a couple of organizations that I do a lot of volunteer work. Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Have you ever heard of those guys? Or
No, I haven't.
Sleep in Heavenly Peace they build beds for kids who are sleeping on the floor in their towns. There's like 300 or 400 chapters across the U.S. So they have this big community day where they build 50 or 60 beds, and then they try to deliver those during the month. And we set them up. They get a new mattress and bedding and everything. We have a huge migrant farm worker population in our city,
Mhm.
so we get to spend a lot of time with the poor,
Gosh,
and
that's
we
beautiful.
we give them. Yeah, it's amazing actually. So instead of going to the bar on Friday,
Wow.
which I used, and hey, man, it's the end of the week, sit down with the construction guys. I do deliveries on Friday now at 3:30. We go deliver like 5 to 8 beds to like 3 or 4 families whose kids are sleeping on the floor. And instead of ending the week with let's pop a few and forget about what happened,
Mhm.
we get to end the week with total gratitude, understanding your problems are very small compared to what real problems are out there. And it's just a totally different way to end the week now. And so a lot of people have seen me do that in the community, and they're reaching out saying, "Hey, could I have a man in my life go do that with you? Because
Wow.
he is like failing here
Mhm.
and he needs something bigger than himself." And so it's moms and it's wives, it's grandmas
Mhm.
who are asking, can you pull this kid into service with you? Can you pull this man into service with you?
Mhm.
And can you reach out to him as a man and not me telling him as his wife or his mom? I think you should go do this, Johnny.
Sure, sure.
Okay, great, mom, thanks. That's been that whole, people see that life of service and they can tell it's
Mhm.
the antidote. It's the antidote to what's happening in their lives of the men in their lives.
Mhm. Amazing. Well, Joe, last question for you. Well, first of all, where can people find you online? It sounds like you've not only got a book now, but you've got maybe a website. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so it's just the name of the book, formedtoserve.com. It's an easy to buy the book there. I'm publishing some more material. There's a daily discipline guide.
Nice.
There's the 12 guarantees about how difficult this is going to be if you want to start this. It's going
Mhm.
to be the most difficult thing you've ever done, guaranteed. There's a workbook we're releasing in about a week called The Workbench, and it
Okay.
leads us through the vices we've got and the corresponding virtues and how I saw those in my life and just real practical ways for men to go, oh, wow, that's me. What's the solution? There's a whole bunch of folks before us that have written about it. Fulton Sheen and Bishop Barron, Andrew Murray. There's some amazing men who have got great advice, and I just tried to collect them
Mhm.
and put them there to show them the solution throughout the ages. That no fats, no 21-day shred, nothing. It's pretty old school. It's
Yeah.
hard, and it's the most rewarding thing you've ever done.
Fantastic. Last question for you that we ask on this show is who do you want to be a hero for? And this is asked in the sense of not to put again the spotlight on yourself and I want to be all heroic. It's like, no, it's who are the kind of people in your life that you want to then spend time and effort and resources sacrificing so that you can show up for them and help them to achieve something great, something better. Who are those people? And I ask for the caveat: you can't pull the God card or your family card because those are givens.
Okay. Uh, so for me, it's the man who thinks that the book's over, that the
Yeah.
chapter been written, and because it's not. And what I would say, and this is, I heard this like 10 miles into a run in one of Bishop Barron's homilies, his Sunday sermons. He says, "Where you stumble, dig for treasure." When you think you're at your worst, that's where treasure's buried. Like
Wow.
you got to go down deep. Nobody leaves treasure chests on the sidewalk or right there for you to grab them. They bury them deep and think. If you think you're down near the bottom of that pit, rejoice and start looking for tapping for that treasure chest because that's exactly where God has got you, so that you're open finally to listening to him. So yeah, it's that. I mean, the whole image of that one sheep that's off to the side, I don't think it's 1 out of 100. I think it's like 87 out of 100 or 93 out of 100.
Mhm.
The guy who thinks the book is written, it's not. In fact, it's just beginning. It's just beginning. And that's what I would say. I've got my own huge list of successes and failures, and the way the good Lord brought me through them. And it wasn't until I saw that, when you look back and go, oh my gosh, that wasn't some crazy thumping up and down mountain valley thing. It was this beautiful arc that the Lord needed me to live and experience. It was his beautiful, smooth plan that now I can see I'm a participant in. And I need to be there to show another man that he is living a beautiful arc, not some failed life that's over now.
Thanks for joining us. If this story connected with you, send it to someone. And if you want to chat with us about anything that we've said, send us a message at heroicmen.org/stories. Our partner at CatholicSpeakers.com has built the easiest way to book powerful Catholic speakers for your men's event. They are the #1 resource worldwide for event organizers and Catholic speakers. Book easily, confidently, and ask for several grants to support ministry to men. Visit heroicmen.org/speakers today. Come and share your journey in the Heroic Brotherhood, our online community for Catholic men like you. Get the app with the best Catholic media for men, including Heroic Men's original series, Be a Man. It's all free, because an alliance of donors already paid it forward for you. Stand with us. Let's build the future of Catholic men. Will you pay it forward? $5 a month pays it forward for 5 men. Visit Heroic Men to stand with us. Because men like us, we leave no man behind. Visit heroicmen.org today.